Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to our Ho'onko service. The Ho'onko service is the annual memorial service for our Jodo Shinshu founder, Shinran Shonin. We will now have the ringing of the kansho. The ringing of the kansho signifies the start of the service. Please sit quietly, then we can start our service. We will now have offering of flowers and light.
Naman love, naman love, naman love, naman love.
Thank you, Mimi and Melody. Please rise for meditation. Please remain standing for the Vandana Tisarana, which is found on page 165 of the Brown Service Book.
Let's do both the Pali and the English together. Namando, 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 Namando.
Please be seated. We will now have Sambujo led by Reverend Sumikawa.
Gathered together in the presence of the Tathagata Amida, the embodiment of wisdom and compassion, to observe the Buddhist Temple's annual memorial service for our founder, Shinran Shonin. The Nembutsu teaching has been transmitted through the 7 spiritual masters. We gather to acknowledge our gratitude to Shinran Shonin for having clarified and transmitted the valuable Nembutsu Dharma. Standing on the essential brotherhood of all beings, we confidently anticipate entering the joyful state of the uncreated. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Please turn to page 11 of the red Jodo Shinshu service book for the Sutra Shoshinge.
Middagets hångande 소란셋 기명하게 권열하이 애슈타라 개신짓 고생 오셔 달생각 고유홍간 이기에고 이동은 요쇼이신 기여근 억울다이 호가이 이특약근 유다의 슈슈 독실행계 소세가이 석쇼신요 호쇼진 여번어린 갱징습 녀쇼지원지오게 온시돈란 요텐시 조코란 쇼보사트라이 산소르시 주조교 먼저 생겨 기라흐호 템진보사트론 주게 호도인가 객세가 오게네 고유다릭 쇼조시 율신진 왕생범부신진포 쇼지 속근해한 일심을여 공여도 쇼주려 갈프게 노샤게 쇼도난쇼 유이며줘도 같으냐 만센지리키 행동쇼 엔만도그도 가세쇼 삼부산신계원건 소마츠호메츠도인 이쇼도 아크지그색 시안요가이 쇼묘가 렌도 녹으며 무쇼이 고아이조상요약학 고묘묘도 갱일렌 가인유홍난다이지가이 여자쇼주 공로신 교지신행 소고 요리나이도 약산님 서크쇼호쇼시조락 갱신고가이지라이교 행기안요 가니사이 생서슈시한생진 호케니로 쇼벤유 고그주아크닝 유이쇼붓 가야크사이 히세슈주 본노쇼네 수이프겐 다이무겐 조쇼가 혼시겐 금요북교 렌민센 마크본부닝 신슈교쇼 고헨슈 센자크 홍강그 아크스 겐마이쇼 지린냉에 개치기조 이쇼시 석근여 자크조 무이락 지신직 이더니 그 견을 이슈시고 조사의 의행 고그조 그악 노소 그지슈 그도시 여의가 신시
Please rise for the Gatha Shinshu anthem found in page 147 of the Brown Praises of the Buddha book.
Oh
seated. We will now have a Dharma message from our guest speaker, Reverend Kerry Kiyohara. Reverend Sumikawa will introduce Reverend Kiyohara.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm very happy this morning to have as our guest speaker Reverend Kerry Kiyohara, who I've known for a long time now, ever since we were at Mo'iliili Honganji. Reverend Kiyohara is a resident minister at this time of Makawao Buddhist Temple on the island of Maui, serving the Honpa Honganji Mission of Hawaii. He was ordained as a priest of the Jodo Shinshu Honganji Ha in 2016, then graduated from Chuo Bukkyo Gakuin Seminary in Kyoto, and was certified as a teacher and assigned as a Kaikyoshi missionary to Hawaii in 2018. Reverend Kerry previously worked as a CEO, COO, CMO. You know what a COO is? How about COO? That's Chief Operating Officer. How about CMO? Marketing. Right. How about CVS? Nah, just joking. Well, do you know what CVS means? Consumer Value Shopping. Anyway. I had to throw that in this morning. So Reverend Kerry, he worked as a consultant and copywriter in LA, Tokyo, Beijing, Shanghai, and Honolulu. He graduated with a BA and an MBA degree from the University of Southern California and speaks English, Japanese, basic Spanish, and survival Chinese, but is mystified by Dakine Pidgin. Please welcome Reverend Kerry. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting us to speak today. The last time we were here, Melody, who is now 9 years old in the 4th grade, she was about 2 years old. And she doesn't remember coming here at all. But some of you may remember the little girl who kind of like ran down the middle of the aisle. But anyway, so thank you very much, Reverend Bert, for that kind introduction. To steal Alan Urasaki's joke, I wrote it, so it does sound really good. And I'd just like to start off by saying, "Wee-ha! Good morning, it's me, Barkley the dog, and I'm Lucy the ladybug. Well, today we don't have a children's Dharma story time for you. Too bad, sorry kids, you can go sleep now. Okay, but that's okay, so we're just going to do a thing, but I just want to say hi to Melody. Thank you so much for bringing us to the temple on time. Okay, guys, we're now over to Reverend Kerry, okay." When you run out of ideas, it's good to have some hand puppets and stuff available. So I'd like to begin with the words of Shinran Shonin. When I deeply consider the vow of Amida, which arose from 5 kalpas of profound thought, I realize it was entirely for the sake of myself alone. Then how I am filled with gratitude for the primal vow in which Amida resolved to save me, even though I am burdened with such heavy karma. The wisdom of Shinran Shonin. Namo Amida Butsu. So today is Ho-onko, which is probably the most difficult Japanese word to pronounce correctly when you write it in English. It looks like hunko or something, or ho-onko, or it's actually ho-onko. It doesn't really matter. It is the memorial service for Shinran Shonin, who is the founder of the Honganji tradition. And really, like all of the memorial services that we do, it's more to say thank you. It's more to say mahalo to Shinran Shonin for giving us these teachings. And if you're going to remember one phrase, I used to be a copywriter, so I do stuff like this. Shinran Shonin's gift to us is Buddhism for the rest of us. You're supposed to laugh at that point, but that's okay. As a copywriter, I stole that from Apple Computer. Anyway, to understand what Shinran Shonin taught, right, 800 years ago, we have to begin with what Shakyamuni Buddha taught, with Gautama Buddha taught, the historical Buddha taught. So we go back 2,600 years, and Gautama Siddhartha, the human being who would become the Buddha, the awakened one, struggled with the question, why do people suffer? Why do people suffer? I mean, most of you remember the story of Siddhartha, right? He was born king to be, he's the crown prince, in a palace surrounded by luxuries, the finest luxuries, the most beautiful consorts. And he excelled at his academic studies. He was a brilliant martial artist. Eventually, he meets and marries the most beautiful princess in the kingdom, who gives birth to a son, the next heir to the throne. And yet, Prince Siddhartha is dissatisfied with his life. Why? The man who has everything, the man who's fulfilled all of his responsibilities, right? The next king, he's not happy. He's not satisfied. In fact, he's disturbed. So Siddhartha ventures outside the palace for the first time to encounter the reality of human existence, aging, illness, death. But also, he discovers the peace of mind that comes with the search for truth. So Siddhartha gives up everything. He turns his back on the kingdom. He abandons his family. Nowadays, I mean, they'd come after you for something like that, right? And he gives up the luxurious life of a prince in a palace to become a homeless beggar, right? Dressed in rags, right? And he's just a wandering seeker of truth. Hey, mom and dad, I know what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be homeless. I want to wear rags. I want to shave my head. Now, as parents and grandparents, how many would say, yeah, good idea? So you can imagine, right, that Siddhartha's decision was not exactly the most easy thing for his parents to accept. So Siddhartha, right, he leaves the palace. He studies under the greatest teachers of the time and masters all of their techniques and philosophies and doctrines. And yet, he still cannot find the truth, right? The answer to why people suffer. Why do human beings suffer? Finally, Siddhartha engages in extreme ascetic practices, reaching the point where he eats only a single grain of rice every day and takes a sip of water. That's it. Near death, Siddhartha accepts the offering of food and water from Sujata, a maiden from a nearby village. Sujata village exists today. Mimi and I visited it. It's a bit of a tourist trap, but it's kind of cool. So Sujata, right, she offers him food and water, which revives him. It brings him back to life, and he realizes the path of extreme self-denial, right? One grain of rice, one drink of water, nothing else, right? The truth, that does not lead to the truth. That does not lead to the truth. He already knows, right, having been the crown prince, that the path of indulgence, of all of your sense pleasures, right, doing everything that you ever wanted, getting everything you want, right, that also does not lead to the truth. So the truth can only be found between these two extremes, right? So the middle way, the middle path. And Siddhartha then decides to meditate under a ficus tree until he discovers the truth, or he dies trying. So for 7 days, Siddhartha meditates, reaching higher and higher levels of samadhi, higher and higher levels of consciousness, meditative focus. And in the early morning, the following day, he awakens to reality as it is and becomes the Buddha, the awakened one. Siddhartha is 35 years old. For the next 45 years, right, Shakyamuni Buddha, Gautama Buddha, teaches the Dharma. He teaches the truth, reality as it is. And then, at age 80, the Buddha dies. But that's a different story. We do that one on Nehane, but anyway. So, to summarize it, right, what did the Buddha actually teach? Well, I think you can summarize it this way. It's about me. It's about me, right? So the Buddha awakened to the cause of human suffering, which is this clinging attachment to self, right? That the idea that there is a unique and eternal me, Carrie, right? There's this permanent essence of Carrie. When in reality, right, the Buddha realized, and the Buddha teaches, right, The self, what we think of as the self, is impermanent. It is constantly changing. It is never the same moment to moment. What we think of as the self is empty in the sense that it's not true, it's not real, it's an illusion. Right? And the self is basically craving. It is this insatiable desire. I want more, more. Right? And it's constantly demanding that we pay attention to these crazy desires. In Japanese, we call them the blind passions. You might consider them as blinding passions, right? These passions that you have, these desires, these cravings, which cannot be satisfied, no matter how hard you try, and yet you want more. And that this becomes the passions that blind us. There are 108. I think you did the 108 ringing of the bell for New Year's Eve. So symbolically ringing out your bonno, your blind passions. So born human, our perception of reality is limited to our five senses. Right? That's all we get. And it's processed by our brain, right? But being born human, our mind constantly struggles to make sense of the uncertainty and this constantly changing stream of data that's pouring in from our five senses. The brain's kind of going, I'm not sure what's going on. So should I be wearing a mask? Should I be wearing an N95, a KN95, a KF94, surgical mask, 3-ply cloth mask? I'm confused. Our brain's struggling to do this. So being limited in capacity, the human mind, right, by definition, is discriminative. It's dualistic. It can only see things. It can only conceptualize things as me and not me. It can only conceptualize things as good for me, not good for me. Right? Success, that's me. Failure, well, that would be his fault. So, and this is the way the human mind is built. It's designed to do this. Now, realistically, of course, this is what keeps us alive, right? You don't walk in front of a bus. You try to preserve your own life. But from the aspect of spiritual understanding, this is what's holding us back. So it's in this inescapable reality that our human body and mind inevitably begin to decay as we age, and we become prone to illness and disease. And when I look at myself in the mirror, I go, wow, Melody, she's 9 years old now. When I first met her, she was like this little thing. I still feel the same, but when I look at her, it's like we were measuring this morning. Her feet are like about 80% of my feet. The lower leg portion, it's essentially the same length. I go, oh my God, she's going to be a 6-footer. Yes, and this is where she's saying, Grandpa, stop talking about me. Okay, sorry. So born human, we can only see the world, right, from this perspective. It's about me. It's about me. It's about me. The problem, of course, is that there are billions of other human beings running around out there who believe the same thing, right? What happens when a bunch of self-centered, egocentric, selfish human beings start bumping heads? A couple 100 million, a couple billion, boom, hey, look around. The world that we see today, what you see on CNN or Fox News, depending on your perspective, it's like, holy cow, what's going on out there? Everything we used to count on, it's gone. It's been taken away and hasn't really been been replaced with Zoom, which has its own issues. So it's about me. This is the human condition. This is what Buddhism teaches us. So that's easy enough to understand. So if you think about me, capital M, capital E, right, think of it as my ego. Right, think of it as my ego. It's about me. It's about my ego. The world's supposed to revolve around me. People should think, say, do, and act the way me wants it. Otherwise, I'm not happy. When things don't go the way we want, we blame someone else. It's never the fault of me. So Buddhism offers many paths to awakening, each with the goal of breaking this clinging attachment to me, right? Our ego self, to realize nirvana, right? Which is not a band, although actually it was a band. And it's not a place you go. This is not Buddhist heaven. Nirvana is not Buddhist heaven. In Sanskrit, nirvana means extinguish, right? To blow out the flame of insatiable desires. If you can do that, then you have awakened to reality as it is. You become the awakened one, you become Buddha. And And so the Buddha, as we all know, right, Gautama Buddha taught the Eightfold Noble Path of the Noble Ones, right, which assumes, right, that actually requires that you become a monk. You have to renounce this world, all of your secular responsibilities. Sorry, Mimi and our son and grandchildren, Grandpa's going off to become a monk. And this is the traditional path of discipline, the monastic practice of Buddhism. Quote unquote, practice-based Buddhism comes from the teachings of the historical Buddha. So what else can we think of? Meditative practice, where if you think of Zen, you may have heard of mindfulness or Vipassana, which is insight. Yoga. Yoga actually derives from Buddhist practice. If you're Tibetan Buddhist, you may be drawing the mandala to create these visualizations of reality. Extensive study and recitation of the sutra. For example, this morning, we chanted Shoshinge, which, congratulations, you're probably the loudest Sangha that I've heard to actually do Shoshinge. And it's a big deal. If you want to become ordained as a priest, you have to memorize it start to finish. Just a clue. So Joy, when you retire from being a teacher, you want to be a minister, come and talk to us, we'll help you out. So the goal, the other one is rigorous practice such as 10,000 prostrations per day. Some Buddhists, the practice says you must go in front of the altar, you must put your hands and forehead and your knees on the ground, and then stand up, and then do it again. And do that, repeat that 10,000 times. So if you go to India, the birthplace of the Buddha, or the place of enlightenment, the Mahabodhi temple, you see like hundreds of people doing this, right, in the direction of where the Buddha became enlightened. And I go, oh my goodness. They actually have slide boards and these things that you put for your hands and stuff. And I go, how cool is that? But we don't do that. We're Jodo Shinshu. So we're getting there, don't worry. So, in other words, the path of awakening, right, the path to enlightenment is to learn how to live life as it's not about me. Right? So we go from the human condition of it's about me to it's not about me. If you can truly live your life, right, as if it's not about me, now we're getting somewhere. And that's it, right? Simple enough, end of Dharma talk? No, sorry. The challenge is how. Right? How do you go from it's about me to it's not about me? And this is the difficult path. It requires total commitment, discipline, sustained effort to realize nirvana, the extinguishing of insatiable self-centered desire, to become Buddha, to become the awakened one, to awaken to reality as it is in this body, in this life. So I'm 61. Reverend Bert is a very young 84. So we know, compared to, say, 20 years ago, the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. Will I become Buddha in this body with this brain? I'd like to think so. Me would like to think, yeah, of course, man, I could become Buddha. So this is where the easy path comes from. The easy path is Jodo, Pure Land, the Pure Land tradition. So there's probably a Jodo mission. There's this Jodo mission here. So Jodo is actually the precursor of Jodo Shinshu. So the Pure Land path, and Jodo Shinshu Honganji, we're a branch of this path. We rely upon the compassionate vow of Amida Buddha to save all ordinary beings, right, through the primal vow, through birth into Pure Land. Right? For an average, ordinary human being, the only chance you have to become Buddha is through birth in the Pure Land. That's it. Unless you want to shave your head and do the monk thing, which is actually kind of fun. Reverend Bert will tell you that I'm a bit extreme in terms of my desire to do rituals and get it all right, and is my wagesa straight? Oh, by the way, Reverend Bert gave this wagesa to me when I graduated from the Tokudo program. So, and actually, Mr. Kupino gave me this Nenju for today. So the easy path. Who knows what Hongan means? Oops, we are the Honganji, right? Hongan means the primal vow, the original vow. Ji is the character for temple, so we are the temple of the primal vow. And it's the 18th of 48 vows made and fulfilled by the Bodhisattva Dharmakara, who becomes Amida Buddha, billions and billions of years ago. It is said that Dharmakara practiced continuously for 5 kalpas, for 5 billion years to fulfill all 48 of these vows. So again, this is no kind of like, I'll do it tomorrow. No, 5 billion years to get there. The 18th vow, how many of you have memorized the 18th vow? Nobody? Okay. If you go to the seminary, they actually make you memorize it, and there's a test. And you have to write it in kanji, which is all in Chinese kanjis. But anyway, the 18th vow says, if, when I attain Buddhahood, sentient beings in the 10 directions, who, with sincere mind, joyfully entrust themselves to me, aspire to be born in my land, aspire to be born in the Pure Land, and call my name even 10 times, should not be born there, may I not attain perfect enlightenment. In other words, Dharmakara, Amida Buddha, said, I'm not going to become Buddha unless everybody's Buddha. And I vow this. Pretty serious stuff. So we talk about the practice of the Nembutsu, the Nembutsu. It translates as mindfulness of Amida Buddha and its compassion. So Shandao, the fifth of the 7 masters of the Pure Land tradition, identified 5 virtuous practices that lead to birth in the Pure Land. There's 5 ways to get to the Pure Land. Okay, 1, read and recite the 3 Pure Land sutras. So reading sutras, chanting the sutras, this is one of the 5 ways you can accumulate merit to be born in the Pure Land. You can contemplate, you can visualize Amida and the Pure Land. The second of the 3 Pure Land sutras, the Kanmuryo Jukyo, is the Contemplation Sutra. It is literally, if you're really interested in this stuff, look at the Contemplation Sutra. It is a how-to book and goes step by step, right, to visualize the Pure Land and Amida Buddha. And finally, you reach Amida's face. Slick stuff. So this is why we chant stuff like this. You can prostrate yourself in front of Amida. Kind of impractical because most of us can't sit on the floor. Number 4, you can say the name of Amida. Sound familiar? And then number 5, praise and make offerings to Amida. So think about the service order for today. What did we do? What did we do? Today we did Shoshinge, which is Shinran's words, but we studied the teachings by chanting them. Right? When we do meditation, we contemplate Amida, the Pure Land, compassion. We don't prostrate ourselves anymore. We don't do that anymore. We do say Namo Amida Butsu, which is the name of Amida, and we praise and make offerings to Amida. We praise by singing. Amida, you speak to me. That's that part. Now, if you have lots of unlimited time and you're wealthy, you don't have to worry about paying your mortgage and that kind of stuff. Okay, let's do that. Yeah. So Honen, right, his great innovation. So Shinran's great teacher. His great innovation was this, the only thing you have to do is say the name. Say Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Buddha. That's it. Because everything else, right, it's done. You don't have to become a monk. You don't have to give up your family, all your responsibilities, turn your back on this world. You don't have to do that. Just say Namo Amida Butsu. Just say Namo Amida Butsu. Which I think that should be in here somewhere. So some of you might remember 5 years ago, the t-shirts which said, just say it, Namo Amida Butsu. These t-shirts are coming back, by the way, so you can order them online. And I actually wrote this as a bit of a joke, right? Because this is Honen's teaching. This is not Shinran's teaching, which we're going to get to next. But Honen basically said, just say Namo Amida Butsu. Simple enough, but we always want to complicate things. So, in fact, Shinran quotes his great teacher, Honen, as saying this, just say Namo Amida Butsu and be saved. There is nothing else involved. Whew, okay. So Reverend Bird doesn't have to put on the fancy robes. We don't have to set the altar. We don't have to get fresh flowers and a candle thing and offerings. No. In fact, you don't have to come to church, but that's a different way to look at it. So what is Honen saying when he says, just say Namo Amida Butsu and be saved? There's nothing else involved. Right? In other words, just saying Namo Amida Butsu with a sincere mind, with total sincerity, right, joyfully entrusting in Amida's compassion, and aspiring to birth in the Pure Land. I want to be born in the Pure Land so I can become Buddha, so I can save other people. I can help other people find their way to birth in the Pure Land. And that's it. That's it. How simple. You don't need to renounce the world. You don't need to shave your head. You don't have to go off to the mountains, become a monk. And you don't need extreme practices. You don't need to meditate for hours or study all the sutras or make vast offerings of money, although the temple will gratefully receive any offerings in the spirit in which they're given, or build pagodas. Right? So many are familiar with the very big pagodas, right? Rich people used to build those things to accumulate merit so they could be born in the Pure Land. Right? Now, if you're the guy working at 7-Eleven as his third job, right, it's not like you're going to say, hey, Kailua, here's a bunch of money, build a pagoda so I can be born in the Pure Land. It doesn't work that way. So it was often, enlightenment was only for the elite, the wealthy, the powerful, the influential. And thus, right, the Nembutsu is the easy practice. Just say Nam Amida Butsu. So the path of Nembutsu, this teaching, is for ordinary, average, non-noble, non-elite, non-wealthy householders who are married, have children, and as well as the disadvantaged and discriminated against classes. Right? So if you were in the untouchable class in Japan, right, sorry, there's no path to enlightenment for you. That's it. So just say it. Namo Amida Butsu. End of Dharma talk. No second fake ending. Let's consider again the words of Shinran Shonin. When I consider deeply the vow of Amida, which arose from 5 kalpas of profound thought, I realize it was entirely for the sake of myself alone. Then, how I am filled with gratitude for the primal vow, in which Amida resolved to save me, even though I am burdened with such heavy karma. Namo Amida Butsu. So, what is Shinran's teaching? He goes back to this. It's about me. Right? What is Shinran saying in this passage? He's saying, oh, primal vow, 5 billion years of profound thought. It's all for me. Yes. So he's gone from it's about me to it's not about me to it's about me. And this is the teaching. One of the most difficult concepts in Jodo Shinshu, which we don't cover because it's very difficult, is an expression called Akunin Shoki, which nobody knows. But it basically says the evil person, right, is the object of Amida's compassion. Right? Evil in this sense means karmically inept. Right? I constantly do things I shouldn't do. I know getting mad at Mimi is negative karma, right? It's going to have negative consequences. I know this. I'm not stupid. Well, okay, I am stupid. Because I keep doing it. Right? And that's the insight that Shinran has. And Shinran says things like, even a good person attains birth in the Pure Land. So it goes without saying that an evil person will. Right? It's kind of backwards. Or this one, I love this one. He wrote this in his 80s. Shinran lived to until 90. I am such that I do not know right and wrong and cannot distinguish false and true. I lack even small love and small compassion. And yet, for fame and profit, enjoy teaching others. I think in the seminary they should make us wear this on our chest for a while. It's like, don't get a big head, right? We think, because we're up here, I get to wear the robes and stuff like, yeah, I'm enlightened, you're not. That is, of course, the human condition. I am superior to you by virtue of being up here. I have control of the microphone. I keep seeing Ryan in the back looking at his phone, but he's actually controlling this thing. So I'm kind of going, oh, have I been speaking that long? Actually, I have. If there's one thing that you want to remember about Shinran's teachings, it's this. Shinjin Shōin, which translates as Shinjin is the true cause of birth in the Pure Land. It could also be translated as the proper or right cause of birth in the Pure Land. Shinjin is often described as a dynamic awakening to our true nature and the simultaneous entrusting in the salvific working of the vow of Amida to save all ordinary beings, just like us. And this is a transformational experience. It's called Shinjin. You could translate it as awakening the heart of great compassion, the mind of non-discrimination, which is Amida Buddha, by the way. But it is an experience that cannot be expressed or explained in words. It's an experience. I can't explain this transformation. You can only experience it with the core of your being. And then it goes on to things like Sesshu Fusha, right? Embraced by Amida's compassion, never to be abandoned. So this comes from the larger sutra on the Buddha of immeasurable life. So once we experience Shinjin, once we experience this transformation, we know without a doubt that our birth in the Pure Land is assured. And by being born in the Pure Land, we achieve supreme enlightenment. We return to this world in oneness with Amida Buddha to guide all beings, everyone, right, to their birth in the Pure Land, to becoming Buddha, regardless of whether you have money, education, right, power, influence, a nice car, whatever. No, that's not it. That's not it. And so saying the name is repaying our debt of gratitude for Amida's compassion. Amida reaches out to me, Carrie, just as I am. Even though I'm flawed and limited and I have weaknesses, Mimi and Melody will tell you all of my weaknesses. And so having experienced this, right, it becomes saying Namo Amida Butsu. Why are we always constantly saying Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu? We're saying thank you. We're saying mahalo. We're saying thank you to Shinran, right, for bringing these teachings to us. Right? Thank you to the Buddha for 2,600 years ago reveals the existence of Amida Buddha, reveals in the sutras, right, that there is this path for all people, regardless. And so saying the Nembutsu is not something I do to build virtue or gain merit. The Nembutsu is not a petitionary prayer. Although, next time you go to Las Vegas, give it a try. Right? Stick some money in the machine and go, Namo Amida Butsu, cha-ching! If lots of money comes out, you're supposed to give 15% to the temple. So, just saying. You do get a tax deduction on that, by the way. And you have to declare it under Schedule C of your income taxes. So you could give it a try and let us know if it, Namo Amida cha-ching, and you hit the big jackpot. No, it's not supposed to work that way. I am not encouraging anyone to believe that. So to summarize, what Shinran taught, right, begins and ends with saying, Namo Amida Butsu. The dynamic awakening to our true nature as human beings and the simultaneous entrusting, right, the ability to entrust your karmic destiny to Amida's vow. Without a doubt, you believe in this. And this comes to us, right? We experience Shinjin, right, through the inconceivable and ineffable working of Amida's compassionate vow. It cannot be explained, it cannot be understood conceptually by the human brain. It can only be experienced. And so people ask me, so explain this thing to me. I go, it says right there, Shinran says it cannot be explained, it cannot be understood by the human mind. Hello? So that's why, of course, ex-advertising man tends to fall back on things like t-shirts. Hey, just say it, Namo Amida Butsu. The trick comes when you wear this shirt out, you go to 7-Eleven, you get a Spam musubi or something, and someone, hey, what does that mean? That's why people don't wear the t-shirts. If you want a simpler version of it, and Bishop Eric Matsumoto often talks about responding in gratitude, and these are also the words of Shinran Shonin, just say mahalo. Just say thank you. Just say thank you. Just say mahalo. Right? If it's too hard to figure out the primal vow and the Nembutsu and all this stuff, just say mahalo for everything in your life. Say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's it. And so why do we have this service? We say thank you, Shinran Shonin. Thank you, Reverend Bird. Right? Thank you, 130 years of missionaries in Hawaii. 800 years of Jodo Shinshu tradition. 2,600 years of Buddhist teachings have come to us, has come to me. It's for me. The Hongan is for me. And this is Shinran's realization. And if you truly experience this, it will shift your thinking. It will shift your worldview. And hopefully, you become enabled to just say mahalo. Now, you can ask Mimi and Melody, do I do this all the time? Probably not. Why? Because in the end, Shinran's key teaching is, it is about me. Right? As long as I'm a human being, I'm stuck. Right? I'm stuck with this body, I'm stuck with this mind, and this sense of humor, hopefully. So if there's one thing you take away, right? Ho'onko, just say mahalo. Just say mahalo. Mahalo for listening this morning. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to come and share the Dharma with you this morning. Thank you. Naman Tats, Naman Tats, Naman Tats.
Mahalo, Reverend Carey. By the way, I have one of those t-shirts too. Please rise for the Gatha, Ondok-san. It's on that sheet that was handed out to you. It's Ondok-san really in Japanese, but also in English. Please remain standing for the Nembutsu, which can be found on page 107 of the Brown Book.
Eliminates obstacles and dispels doubt. This is the teaching and practice for our era. Devote yourself solely to it. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida
Namo
Butsu.
Amida
Namo
Butsu.
Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo.
Please be seated. This concludes our service. We will go on to announcement, but I believe we have one guest. Jamie, please stand. Welcome, Jamie. Jamie is a friend of Bob Nishita. Are there any other first-timers? Not? Cynthia?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So our monthly remembrance service will be next week Sunday. So since this is an in-person service, photos of the person that you would like to remember do not have to be submitted. However, if you would like to submit a photo, please send it to Reverend Sumikawa by Wednesday.
Okay, bye.
Same guy?
Oh, same guy, okay. Reverend Bert. And then at the service next week, the name that can be provided upon check-in at next week's service. There are takeaway snacks for you after this service. So if you care to socialize a bit, we also have coffee and tea and in the next room. So please help yourself. What is that? Oh, and distance. Please distance from one another. Okay. Thank you for joining us today, and please continue to remain safe and healthy. Thank you. Oh, well, tomorrow is Martin Luther King Day, and we have a project here at the temple. We are the collection agency for Kailua to receive donated items for the food bank and for this Ma'i Ma'i movement. And they collect feminine hygiene products for the homeless women. So if you have anything and you would like to come by and donate it, we'll be here from 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock. It's a drive-through, so you won't have to get out of your car. Okay? Oh, okay, Joy. This flyer will eventually get put up and, what? Oh, that's fine. They can hear me. This flyer will eventually get put up and sent out via email, but the Buddhist Studies Center has finally started advertising its 2022 Spring Seminar, which I'm one of the planners for. It's going to be March 25-26. It's virtual, and this one is very youth-focused. So the theme is Dharma through the eyes of youth. And the Friday night is like 7 to 8:30. My Junior Young Buddhist Association state officers are our panelists. So we have 5 of them, 5 young adults. And then the Saturday morning portion, our guest speaker is Jacob Chang, who's our former Homonganji Mission of Hawaii Youth Specialist. And then we have panelists that will be talking about different things, related to youth. We have, Wayne Yoshioka, who will be kind of speaking on more like Dharma School and kind of his perspective. He's a very prominent member at Hawaii Betsuin. We'll have Dwight Matsuo, who's be kind of speaking about his experience with our Yes Camp, which is our young, enthusiastic Shinshu seeker young adult camp. And then Wade Toyama from Maui, a friend of mine also, who will be speaking about as a youth in temple leadership. So anyway, young perspective, we've got to sign up for it and everything, and we'll get information out to everyone about it. So March 25-26. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. So please drive home carefully, but please pick up your packets of goodies. Thank you.